A Brief History of Modern China for Political Risk Analysts by Corey's Political Risk Analysis. China from World War I to 2025, a historical summary. The early 20th century and the warlord era, 1914 to 1927. During World War I, China was a weak republic struggling to consolidate power after the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1911. Although China declared war on Germany in 1917 and contributed labors to the Allied cause in Europe, it gained little from the Treaty of Versailles. Instead, the treaty transferred German concessions in Shandong to Japan, sparking the May 4th movement in 1919, an intellectual and cultural awakening that criticized traditional values and advocated modernization, nationalism, and anti-imperialism. At the same time, the central government in Beijing was weak, and regional warlords dominated much of China. The Kuomintang, or the KMT, or the Nationalist Party, led by Sun Yat-sen, sought to unify the country. In 1921, the Chinese Communist Party, or the CCP, was founded in Shanghai. The two parties initially cooperated in the First United Front to end warlord rule, with Soviet support. Civil War and Japanese invasion from 1927 to 1949. After Sun Yat-sen's death in 1925, Chiang Kai-shek took control of the KMT and launched the Northern Expedition to defeat the warlords. However, Chiang soon purged the communists in 1927, starting the Chinese Civil War. The communists under Mao Zedong retreated and reorganized, famously conducting the Long March from 1934 to 1935 to establish a base in Yan'an. Meanwhile, Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931 and launched a full-scale invasion in 1937. The Second Sino-Japanese War from 1937 to 1945 saw brutal atrocities, such as the Nanjing Massacre and widespread devastation. The CCP and KMT formed a second united front against Japan, but tensions remained. After Japan's defeat in World War II, the Civil War resumed. The Communist victory in Maoist era from 1949 to 1976. In 1949, the CCP emerged victorious and established the People's Republic of China, or the PRC, under Mao Zedong. The KMT retreated to Taiwan, where it continued as the Republic of China, or the ROC. Mao aimed to transform China into a socialist state. Early reforms included land redistribution and nationalization of industry. In 1958, Mao launched the Great Leap Forward, a radical campaign to industrialize and collectivize agriculture. It led to economic collapse and a famine that caused an estimated 15 to 45 million deaths. Following this disaster, Mao's influence waned but resurged during the Cultural Revolution of 1966 to 1976, a mass campaign to eliminate counter-revolutionaries and reassert Maoist ideology. The movement led to chaos, persecution of intellectuals, and severe cultural and educational setbacks. Opening and reform under Deng Xiaoping, 1978 to 1990s. After Mao's death in 1976, Deng Xiaoping emerged as China's paramount leader. He rejected Maoist economic policies and launched a series of market-oriented reforms. The household responsibility system replaced collective farming, and special economic zones, or SEZs, were established to attract foreign investment. Deng's era was marked by rapid economic growth and increased international engagement. However, political liberalization lagged behind. In 1989, peaceful protest led by students in Tiananmen Square called for democratic reforms. The government declared martial law and violently suppressed the demonstrations, killing hundreds or possibly thousands. Despite international condemnation, China maintained economic momentum becoming increasingly integrated into the global economy. Rise of modern China, 1990s to 2008. Under Jiang Zemin and later Hu Jintao, China continued market reforms and joined the World Trade Organization, the WTO, in 2001. Coastal cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen became economic powerhouses. China's GDP surged, lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty. The government promoted a model of socialism with Chinese characteristics, blending authoritarian governance with capitalist style economics. This period also saw increasing nationalism and regional assertiveness. In 1997, Britain returned Hong Kong to China under a one country, two systems framework. In 1999, Macau followed suit. China's emergence as a global power was symbolized by its successful hosting of the 2008 Beijing Olympics, showcasing the country's economic and technological transformation. Xi Jinping and strategic ambitions from 2012 to 2025. In 2012, Xi Jinping became General Secretary of the CCP and later President. Xi consolidated power, dismantling term limits and promoting a more centralized and ideological governance model. He launched a sweeping anti-corruption campaign targeting both political rivals and genuine abuses. Under Xi, China has taken a more assertive global stance. The Belt and Road Initiative, or the BRI, launched in 2013, aimed to expand China's economic and strategic influence through infrastructure investments across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Simultaneously, China increased its military capabilities and pushed territorial claims in the South China Sea, raising tensions with neighboring countries and the United States. Domestically, Xi emphasized ideological control, strengthening surveillance, censorship, and patriotic education. Hong Kong's autonomy eroded after 2019 protests, culminating in a national security law in 2020 that curtailed dissent. In Xinjiang, reports of mass detentions and re-education camps targeting Uyghur Muslims sparked global criticism and alleged allegations of human rights abuses. The COVID-19 pandemic, which began in Wuhan in late 2019, profoundly impacted China and the world. China imposed strict lockdowns under a zero-COVID policy, initially controlling the virus, but at high social and economic cost. The policy was abruptly lifted in late 2022, leading to a surge in infections. Technological advancement and geopolitical tensions. Throughout the 2020s, China pursued leadership in advanced technologies like AI, quantum computing, 5G, and semiconductors. Though facing pushback from Western nations, the US and its allies imposed export controls on critical technologies, framing China as a strategic competitor. China continued to modernize its military and space program, including missions to the Moon and Mars. It also pushed for a more prominent role in global governance, challenging US-led institutions and promoting alternatives like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS. The Taiwan question and cross-strait relations. Tensions with Taiwan have increased significantly under Xi. China views Taiwan as a breakaway province and has not ruled out using force to achieve reunification. Taiwan, a vibrant democracy, rejects Beijing's claims. U.S. support for Taiwan, including arms sales and official visits, has angered China, raising fears of potential conflict, particularly after the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022 set a precedent for power-based territorial claims. Economic challenges and social pressures. By the mid-2020s, China faced growing economic headwinds. After decades of growth, the economy slowed due to an aging population, youth unemployment, real estate debt crisis, and geopolitical decoupling from Western markets. Demographic trends, including a shrinking labor force and declining birth rate, prompted concern about long-term sustainability. Despite setbacks, China remains the second largest economy globally and a major player in global trade and finance. It has begun shifting focus towards self reliance, especially in key industries like semiconductors, energy, and green technology. Conclusion: from a fragmented republic at the time of World War I to a global superpower in 2025, China's transformation has been staggering. The journey has been marked by revolution, war, famine, reform, and remarkable economic progress. Under Mao, China redefined itself through ideological zeal and radical change. Under Deng and his successors, it embraced markets while maintaining strict political control. Under Xi Jinping, China asserts its vision at home and abroad, navigating challenges that will define its trajectory into the future. As of 2025, China stands at a crossroads, balancing economic modernization, technological ambition, and national security priorities with the complexities of global integration, demographic pressures, and rising international scrutiny. Its next chapter remains one of the most consequential stories of the 21st century.